Hey everybody, Zach Deane here. This podcast, we're going to be interviewing Pete Melov, someone that I've known since I was 11 years old, right? I've known him for over 19 years. He's been in the health and wellness industry for over 30 years. He's an author of the book, Simple Health. He's a practitioner. He is one of the healthiest looking people that I know, and he's incredibly passionate about helping people. His shops, he's had, I think, 14 different shops throughout Sydney, throughout his time. He's worked with, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people through his door, helping them with food, wellness, lifestyle habits, how to fast, how to reduce parasites, how to cleanse out the body from, fungal infections, talking about probiotics and essential oils, how to get in touch with nature. It talks about sun therapy and alkalining the body. So finally, I was like, Pete, we got to chat. Let's talk about health and wellness. And so I edited the video in because unfortunately the first 15 minutes didn't record. So I've edited it in at his response from my question, which was, Pete, how do you define health? So I'm super excited for you to check this out. Jump in and enjoy.
Slow, I would get picked off. Now I'd be picked off. So for me, my movement and my activity, my food intake is based around predation. I call it the Trojan horse now, or a Trojan aspect of Trojan lifestyle, where I'm defensive attacking. So it's a defense attack. So you're defending yourself, but you're also attacking, but you're not being physically attacking something, but you're aware of something being invading your body, attacking your body, and you'll have the ability to microbially able to handle it and physically be able to handle that organism that attacks you.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're saying you got that energy, that alertness, and at the same time it's like you know who you are, and then you're being that as well. It's like your truest form. And I think so many people aren't humans today because we're not eating all these many reasons. But I'd love to know from your, you've been around a while. Tell us the history of the health industry, medicine, healing, from your point of view. How has it shifted over the last, 25, 30 years?
Well, what I've watched myself is that there's a lot of money coming into the alternative health because people are so pissed off with the system. And nobody's to really blame for it, but it's a system that predates on the weakest people that are the weakest organisms. It's basically what I call nature's stock exchange. So if you don't trade in nature's stock exchange, which I say in the book, you get pushed aside, or organisms run that trade, and you slowly don't function, or you get to a system of frustration, which I call it basically the frustration system now. Everybody wants answers. They want the best they want, but unfortunately, they don't know how to get it. And they've got a clue, but the big problem most people don't have is the way to go about it. And it's really that simple thing of understanding that when you're a child, you ask questions. Right? You're always asking questions as a child. And when the person says to you, hey, look, don't worry about it, you get frustrated and you won't talk to that person. You'll get shitty with that adult. That adult won't be in your spectrum for a while. You'll switch off because they don't answer the question. They're not being honest with you. So for me, as an adult, the best way to find out what and how you fit into things, especially this system, is to look at why is it that I'm constantly doing the same thing and getting zero result? It's a pretty basic Bart Simpson question, because in The Simpsons, Bart keeps on putting his finger in the cupcake, and then Lisa's got an electronic buzzer on it and zaps him, but he keeps on going, ow, 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 ow. I call it the Bart Simpson complex, doing the same. Doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And humans are biological beings that have the ability to completely change the way they function based around taking that first step. But what this system has done through the banking cartels and everything else is train us to believe we've got to do everything with everybody else. But you'll find the biggest steps forward in any change has been one person just saying, hey, this doesn't make sense. And then yelling and shouting from the treetops for years and years and years, and they'll get 5 or 6, another 10, another 20 people. Hey, that makes sense. And all of a sudden, everybody says, Oh, yeah, I knew it all along. I knew that ages ago. I don't know why they keep on going on about it, but I knew it all along. So there's the safety in numbers, which is a primal thing that humans have, but we're not addressing our primal instinct. We're addressing a commercial instinct, which is the money thing, which has been brought into the alternative business. And people are coming in with ulterior motives of, hey, there's a lot of people asking questions and trying to find the truth, but they're actually there for the money. Not all of them, but a good majority of the alternative practitioners are coming in charging a lot of money for something that's really basic and not steering to the evolutionary process. We have an evolutionary process as human beings to expand and evolve, not just stationary and not get out of this, static position we're in at the moment. And to me, that's the biggest thing I've seen, is that people are coming in with not great experience, with good marketing.
Yeah, that we've been manipulated to think, to reevaluate what's important. Yeah. And to purchase things we don't need, spend money with who we don't really care about, or on people and experiences that are not really important. And it's very confusing for a lot of people. And so break some belief systems around health for us. Like, why are people so unhealthy today?
Well, the biggest thing they've done is they've forgotten that there's a mirror in front of them. A mirror is a pretty interesting object. So you look in the mirror and you look at it and you go, every day you'll look in that mirror. What is it you see different about yourself in that mirror? Every day. If something's wrong, you're getting swelling in your face. You're getting tight movement in your hands. Is something happening when you stand naked? What is the difference in your body daily or even weekly? Now, when you start looking at your body and what you're doing each day, you can say, okay, I've got changes going on. Talk to somebody, right? We're bottling up a lot of stuff because we're not communicating with people who are supposed to be our friends or caring about us. By simply not communicating with other people, hey, what do you think of me at the moment? Do you think I'm putting on weight? Do you think I just feel not very good? What do you think we should do? Hey, there's a person over there that does this. Why don't we try going and doing an ice bath, doing a breath course, doing something different to break the pattern? Like I said before, the Bart Simpson complex, doing the same thing, expecting a different result. You have to break patterns. Humans have the worst aspect and the best aspect in one. They're very good at patterns, but they're terrible at breaking them. Terrible at breaking.
I agree.
So when you break patterns, then you get this expansive, just excitement in your life again. Patterns are predictable behavior, which society loves you to have a predictable behavior. You get up in the morning at the same time every day, go to work, do the same thing, come home at the same time. That's a predictability that the system can make you sit in and make you comfortable in. But hey, don't break out of that predictability. You know why they don't want you to break out of it? Because the system won't work anymore. We are the energy, the all-encompassing energy to create this system from predictability. So they create the predictability, the functionality of you doing the same thing every day, going home, getting up, eating the shit food, coming home, and that predictability creates a predictable system. They can predict what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and how you're going to react by you being predictable. But guess what? All you have to do is break a couple of small things of that predictability and everything starts to shift. Predictability is the enemy of humans. That means anything you do on a continual basis, which is predicted by other people that you know, is your enemy. You've got to break out. You've got to get to work earlier some days, get to work a little bit later if you want to do that way. Start having different foods. Start looking at water intake. Start doing it breath work. Chip away at the big predictability and get rid of the predictability. Become an individual so people come to you and say, hey, you're a really interesting person. I don't know anything about what you're talking about, but you're fascinating. I want to come and talk to you again. They ring you up. They start talking to you. They want to come and see you. They want to hang out with you because you're not predictable. Predictability is the enemy of all species. If I'm a gazelle and I go out to that bush in the same path every friggin' day, what happens?
The predator's going to come and get you.
Hey, they'll hunt you, they'll watch you for, you know, that lions and wolves can track you for 200 to 300 meters and you don't even know they're there. They're tracking you for 3 miles and you don't even know they're there, right? Predictability, in a sense, is that the system will prey on your predictability. Every time you do something that the system is familiar with, you can think of yourself as an algorithm. You're matching an algorithmic system, because the predictability is like a computer program. You're fitting into a giant computer, which is the system, and predictability creates that fit on the algorithm, and the system reacts to that predictability. Break the predictability, remove your circuit from the system, bang, we create a new one.
This is awesome. This is a great way of looking at things. This is so, you know, this is not predictable as well. This is not predictable. And
I'm not predictable.
and so that's really important. Breaking those patterns, doing something different. If you can do something different today, just one little thing, you can start breaking those unhealthy patterns and things like that.
Walk a different way to the shop.
Yeah.
Buy something different. Breathe differently. Sit down for 5 minutes a day. Take 5 deep breaths. Do something to break the predictability, because the system, you're an algorithm. You're a programmed part of the system. They have basically programmed you to be predictable, which makes it even worse, because they've pushed you into predictability and you're comfortable with it. But once you break out of that, that's when you find your true self. The true human is heal thy. Everybody thinks the word is healthy, but it means heal thy. Thy being yourself. You are not healthy, you heal thy. So when a person says, are you heal thy? Are you healing thyself? What are you doing? Are you well? Have you got water? Well is a storage vessel of water. Are you well? Have you got water? Heal thy. Are you healthy? All the words, they transpose you into this hypnotic state where you do the same predictable patterns all the time. That's not you. That's a predictable model of you. It's a second dimension of the three-dimensional you, because you've been programmed into a system of predictability where they can actually predict how you're going to react. Like this stupid corona crap, right? 99.97% of people recover. 83 is the average age. In nursing homes, dying with 5 or 6 predictable diseases from taking drugs for 25 years. You get blood poisoning, you die of sepsis. 99% of the people who die of this stupid corona, Toyota corona as I call it, die of sepsis. 11 to 12 million people die from blood poisoning. You put a person on medication for 20 years, you're going to get sepsis. That's blood poisoning. So they're all dying of sepsis, and loneliness is another thing now with all the shutdowns. But it doesn't affect children. They've shut down the whole world. How are you going to react? They train you up with SARS, bird flu, millennium bug. The whole computers of the world are going to crash, because guess what? They can't handle an extra naught. That's what they say.
Many lies.
So many predictable programs. They push, then hit you with the big one. And you react predictably because they've trained you to with the other bullshit stories. It's a very simple process.
This has been happening for a long time. Yeah, it's very. This has been happening for a very long time.
They train up and up and up, get the predictability in the human species, then hit you with the big one to bring in the lockdown to say, oh, sorry, we made a mistake after the lockdown and bankrupted and moved all the small business over to large business, and the biggest transfer of biggest transfer of money in history to large business and small business.
Yeah.
It's been the largest transfer of wealth ever.
Yeah.
And only because they can predict what you do. If they can't predict it, they won't be able to do 99.97% of what they do, just like this bullshit virus. So that's it.
So interesting. So just to back up there for a second, redefining the word health is to heal thy. And well, what did you say?
Vessel. Have you got water? Are you well? Well is a water storage. Everybody was supposed to have water. Are you well?
This is not predictable. This is fantastic. This is definitely something how we should definitely be looking at wealth and health, healing thyself. And so within your own practice, obviously you've been around for 25 years, you've seen all these people.
Actually, I've been doing it more like 40 or maybe 50, because I started when I was young, really like 10, 12, when I was bushwalking, because I was really aware of health then. I never ate too much because I couldn't move. I couldn't walk.
Yeah. And so today, what are some of the habits, some of the routines, some of the, I guess, people call them hacks these days, but what are you doing to stay healthy these days?
But generally, I'm eating nutrient-dense foods. When I eat, I don't eat for pleasure. I eat for, look, I can't say that. I do eat foods because I make so much stuff. As you know, I make so much stuff. I made these sweets this week, which has got bentonite clay and slippery elm, and they taste amazing. Taste like a fudge. So I got to try that. So you've got to try what you make. You just can't make stuff and hope people like it. So I generally do like native Australian foods, which you've probably heard I've done. I do eat raw meats, raw eggs, raw fish. I follow the Japanese diet. I've got a lot of Japanese customers. They give me a lot of hints of how they eat in Japan, because they've got the lowest rates of obesity in the world. They've got 3 to 6% obesity. Australia's got 36%. They have a low carbohydrate. I virtually have no carbs at all. I make my own bread, which is sprouted bread, sprouted sourdough, which is broken down lectins and oxalates and all that stuff. So I watch my poison, because a lot of people believe they should eat a lot of plants, but if you look at what plants are defensive organisms as well. There's no such thing as vegan plants, because plants are in the soil. The soil's made up of dead animals and plants. And you'll find that all fertilizers used on plants are animal-based or poo-based or manure-based. So plants need and crave animal foods as well, and 700 plus, close to 800 species of plants hunt, kill, and eat animals. So the whole principle of it is that when you eat something, it's got to be intuitively cell building. It's got to build your cells. And when I eat something, I don't want it to take a lot of time to break down. I don't want to put my body under stress, breaking it down. I'm not, and never have been, a juice guy, because you don't chew. Juicing's okay if you're very ill, but I personally don't do juices because of the fact that your teeth are designed to be used. And if they're not used on a regular basis, they rot and the gum disease happens. And with this book, that's what Weston A. Price, who was a dentist, studied. He studied all their teeth, and he found that they had no gum disease or any tooth decay. And they were all, without exception, animal eaters. Now, 5,000 years ago, even 200, maybe 300 years ago, you had far better access to plants, better plants, a lot better plants, a lot more nutrient-dense plants. And not a single culture on the First Nation people on the entire world were vegans. I've looked and I've tried to find some. And I'm talking First Nations. I'm not talking people who live in cities. I'm talking First Nations. And I looked again later on at basketball, funnily enough, because I couldn't understand how I went out with a Chinese woman once, and she was 6 foot, and I couldn't understand. I thought she was transvestite, so I didn't take any notes of it. And then I realized she wasn't. And then I looked at, why is it the Chinese, with such a massive race, are all so short? And then over a period of time, I started doing a lot of research, and I found that the tallest Chinese people playing basketball were Chinese. And it happened between 40 years, between 1960 and probably the 2000. And then I looked at the diet of the Chinese. They're primarily grain eaters, right? Grain eaters and high carbohydrate intake. And they did is see a lot of the basketballers in America were tall, and they saw the Negroes and the black people, what they were eating, high protein diets. And within 15, 20 years, the tallest people in the NBA in America were Chinese. So they went from small on a grain diet to large on a protein-based diet, which is animal foods.
Wow.
So I equated everything. 6'7" people. Then you got the Kenyan sand people, which are small. They're mostly grain eaters and legumes. And the biggest, healthiest people were animal food eaters, the Eskimos. -60, -70. I watched a documentary the other night on the harshest school environments in the world. and there's these girls in Siberia, and they're not allowed to go to school when it gets to -55. But up to -55, they're allowed to go to school. So they're going to school, Zach, and everybody up there, if you think you had a hard day and it's hot or something, and it's cold at 15 degrees, these little kids at 11 and 12-year-olds are catching the bus at -50 to go to school.
Oh my God.
So they're all animal food eaters. There's no vegetarians or vegans.
They have to be. They can't survive
in cold climates. So 3/4 of the world is cold, or 2/3 of the world is cold climate, or cool to cold. So they're all animal food eaters. So that's all I did. I looked at nature and First Nations. I looked at their teeth. I looked at the disease. Then I looked at humans and how percentages of carbohydrates versus protein, how they developed on carbohydrates, how they developed on proteins, animal foods. This is sustainable animal food. It's not butchered animal foods. The same with plants. This is sustainable animal and plant food, not just, commercial crap. I'm talking really high quality, ethically produced animals and plants, because plants are conscious as well. I really recommend looking at The Secret Life of Plants and plant consciousness if you think plants are not conscious. They're very, very obviously conscious, because they train animals to propagate them, pollinate them, and spread their seed. And they feed on them as well. So again, that's human. Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing.
And that's the thing. What have you noticed? Because obviously Weston A. Price did this massive study. That book and that
10
science
years
in there is undeniable.
Yeah.
What happened? Where did people go wrong?
The commercialization of food. When food in the 50s, you can see the spike of disease. When they cut the fats out, the butter onto margarine and vegetable oils, you can see the spike of heart attacks goes directly up. Right? It just flies up. Vegetable oils, I don't know if you've seen how they make margarine.
Oh my God, it's actually plastic though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually black, and they put a yellow dye into it. So margarine is actually just pure poison. And anything that you put into your body, like the hydrogenated oils, canola oils, all these safflower, all these oils that are plant-based, completely hydrogenated, which means stretching out the molecules of the oil so it goes further. And we actually use linseed oil to cook, and rapeseed oil to cook chips in. Cottonseed oil we use to cook chips in. We cook chips that we're going to eat in cottonseed oil. Cottonseed oil is actually from cotton.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's used to fry chips all over the place. People use, you know why? Because it's cheap.
Cheap.
So yeah, I got guys when I was down the Bondi Beach with my shops down there, I got guys to use coconut oil, the fry safe coconut oil. They said, Pete, it's completely changed the business. The chips taste 10 times better. I said, yeah, because it doesn't go off when you cook it.
That sounds delicious, though. That sounds awesome.
The chips, you get people onto sweet potato instead of carby, potatoes.
Step in the right direction.
Yeah, and then baking, of course, and then slaking them off chips. But the basics of it is that every time you have commercialization of anything, the end result is a poor outcome, because the people who commercialize anything at the tip of the iceberg, at the top of the pyramid, are the worst health of anybody. The worst. I've actually thought of doing this, getting all the top businessmen in the world, because this is nothing to do with women. This is all male-based construct. You have all the top men in the world, the top businessmen in the world, stripped down to their undies or even naked, and get them standing there against all the First Nation tribes of the world naked versus all the so-called successfully unhealthy, as I call them, men of the world. Now, who's going to be the more wealthy? Who are the women going to want to sleep with? I can tell you, it's not going to be the wealthy, fat, little penis guys. It's not going to happen. They're going to look at the Maasai. They're going to look at his groin. They're going to look at him standing there. They're going to look at the fat little businessman who's got the paunch and, he can't even see his penis. He has to lift up his gut to see his penis. That's what's going to happen. They're not going to go for the successfully unhealthy. They're going to go for the successfully healthy. So there's a big parameter.
They're very successful at being unhealthy. That's right.
Yeah, they're successfully unhealthy. So the whole principle of it is, so what is it that these 117-year-old people have got versus these appallingly unhealthy, successfully unhealthy people at 100 have got? Marketing. That's all it is. It's just very good marketing. You market a person who wears a $20,000 suit as successful, and you don't even talk about the 6'6" Maori guy with no sick children, babies that crawl in the dirt, got amazing teeth and beautiful skin and decorated with all this clay and eat amazing foods. You don't want that. You can't have that. So you move him into the suit.
That's a really interesting point. We've been conditioned to think that that is the ideal on success, or the ideal successful outcome. And everyone's working towards, you know, myself, it's this internet business entrepreneur, you know, lifestyle, but I'm on the computer a lot. I'm on my phone a lot, you know, and it's, you know, or technology at nighttime. We're not really supposed to be doing this, but it's a great way to get the message out there, but it's really not the sustainable way. And what I loved about what you mentioned at some of your events years ago when you were in the other shop in Bondi, you were saying that men shouldn't be teaching health. It should be women, because women create life.
100%.
Tell us more about that.
Well, if you look at the works, I've just brought this up recently. I've just posted this on Facebook. It's pushed a few buttons with people because there was all these models wearing dresses, and they were very feminine, dressed as a woman, and the whole hijacking of women in the last 2, maybe 5 years with the transgender thing coming in. So men now play sport against women. So biological men can now go into MMA and take on women. And I found it extremely offensive when I saw one male in particular who was saying he's a woman in MMA fracture 2 women's skulls. And he's fractured their skulls. And the women said, I've never come up against a woman this strong, because he's a man. If you've got a penis, you're a man, right? You can say you're a woman, but you've got a penis. It doesn't mean anything to say something. It's like saying I'm an elephant and I'm a human being. I'm still a human being, but I'm saying I'm an elephant. Biologically, you're a man. So I personally think what's happened with all this stuff, if they want to have their play sport as a transgender, let's have them have their own transgender sports, not have men competing against women. Women deserve the right to compete against other women. And this has happened a lot. People have become in with agendas to change the way women function, because women are rising now. I don't know if you've noticed, but women are coming up and they're starting to realise what has happened over the last 300 years with the witch hunts, where they killed 90 million women. With all the women out there, I'd really recommend all the books by Barbara Walker, The Crone, Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Legends, all the books she wrote, so all incredibly real history of where we were and what happened. And the church killed close to 100 million women over a 100-year period to dominate them, because women controlled society. So if you're pregnant, you have a baby, everybody who is pregnant and has a baby or can have a baby should be looking at health, because they're the ones going to have the babies. Males shouldn't dominate hospitals. Males shouldn't dominate any administrative process in anything to do with birth. It should be all females. There should be no male administrative hierarchy in any place in birth, in my view, because that's the basic thing, is that women have babies. A man's never going to feel the way a woman feels when she's pregnant. He's never going to understand the hormonal aspect. He's not going to understand a baby, by having a baby, because he's never going to have it. And, you know, why are men in charge of birth? They're never going to do it. It's like saying, hey, can you build me a house if you're a plumber? I can't, mate, I'm a plumber, but I'll act like I am. I'll get an administrative job and I'll just tell guys what to do, but I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah,
and so that's
very odd when you look at it. When you actually take, as you said, take a moment, 5 deep breaths at least, start changing up some patterns, you know, break the pattern, do some, you know, these things that our body should be doing, moving in natural ways, going outside, taking our shoes off, more sun, healthier food. And you start to see, and you start to like take a bit of time and go, what the fuck is going on in this world? like
I said, it's a predictable
confusing.
system. Predictable system. If they see all these events, it's gone back a long time, back to Nero, 64 AD. Nero burnt Rome 3 times. Didn't get what he wanted the first time, so he burned it again. He hired mercenaries to burn Rome because he wanted to get this legislation through. He couldn't get it to say we needed more taxes, we need more control. So Nero in 64 AD, burnt Rome 3 times to get the legislation he wanted for controlling the population. Every single thing is based around predictability. They put a program or an event, 201 in September seminar. You know the thing they put, the 201?
Yeah.
September
9/11?
No, 201 in September 2019, right? Exactly what they were going to do the next year. They told you. Exactly. They're going to have an event. It's going to be a disease. Exactly the same people were involved. Exactly the same players. We had 2 people. Event 201. Look it up.
I don't even know this. No, what is it?
Event 201 in September 2019. They said there's going to be a virus. There's going to be a worldwide event. It's going to affect huge amounts of people. It was all mocked up, fake, right? And then in January, look it up, everybody out there, Event 201 on the World Health Organization website. It's still there. Event 201, they mocked it up. They had all the media, everybody involved, did fake media reports about these huge viruses attacking the world, blah, blah, blah. And then in January 220, they introduced it. And it was already pre-planned.
Okay, I heard briefly about that. They had
Event 201.
Right. So it was a mock like a drill, like a drill on what?
Yeah, drill. They told everybody they were going to do it. Nobody did anything. And they did it. So they said, hey, this is how they're going to react. Do it. Remember, the government only reacts to the largest noise. Pacification or predictability, apathy, boom. These guys steering the government, the banking cartels, hey mate, if you do this, do you remember that guy got offered $4.5 billion? I think it was Estonia, one country.
Wow.
The World Bank offered him $4.5 billion to lock down the country. $4.5 billion. He said, what? They said, the World Bank came to him. IMF, sorry. They came to him and they said, lock down the country, we'll give your country $4.5 billion. He said, why? Why would I lock down the country? And he put a big post out of it. Hardly anybody covered it. Hardly anybody. And now ScoMo, like I said before we started, ScoMo said, now we've just got to start thinking this is a bad flu. It's gone on too long. In March 2020, this is what ScoMo said. This is exactly what he said, right? Around 80% of people will have no symptoms. 15% will have mild symptoms and 5% will maybe go to hospital. It's just going to be like a bad flu. That's exactly what he said in March 2020. In March 2021, what did he just say? Exactly a year later. Exactly the same thing. He's not lying, Zach. He's never lied.
Oh gosh, it's laughable.
It's pathetic.
Oh, this is.
He's reacting. He's
dumb.
telling you nothing's happening. But what do? We believe the media. Mm-hmm. The media isn't our friend. You guys hadn't noticed. The media is run by big business. You know what the history of Facebook now? Everybody gets Facebook now. Everybody gets Twitter. I mean, Twitter, you know what twit means?
To be a twit.
Yeah, idiot. It means idiot. You get on something that's called being an idiot more. Twitter.
Well, you got to laugh about it, don't you?
You have to. Otherwise you go fucking mad. But the basics of it is Facebook. Now put your face in a book. You know who developed Facebook?
Taking all that data, of course. Yeah, it's sick. It's really sick. Who
developed Facebook?
Well, I don't know.
DARPA. CIA developed with DARPA Facebook. If you said that Congressman the head of CIA came before Congress and said, "We can't believe Facebook." And he said, "You beg your pardon? What do you mean by that?" Everybody is putting their personal details, where they are, what they're doing, what time they're going to be there. It's the best data resource we could ever have imagined. So what do? You stop your predictability. Every single time they stick these things up there to get you to do, look, here I am at this time. You put, like I do. I don't use language like the bots can pick up. Everybody says to me, "Why do you put dots everywhere? What's your punctuation? It's terrible."
Oh, that's why you do that.
Yeah, I've been doing it. How long have I been doing that?
The whole menu at your restaurant, all the food, all the website. I don't know about the website. Surely the website.
Website doesn't matter because it's a website. It's on the web. But any type of algorithm, whether Facebook, and I don't even use Dumb and Dummy or Twitter, but the basics of it is predictability is your access out of the system. When you go home tonight, read a different book, get some information, read the history of Standard Oil by Ita Tarbell. Look at the works of Judy Wood, Where Did the Towers Go? All the great actors, writers of the world, all the people who do outside of the square. Look at all the works of Barbara Walker. Astonishing writer. Every woman should read her work. It empowers you to know new knowledge. It's a conversation starter. It breaks predictability.
And this is where you said before, you said, breaking that predictability and actually finding your true self and being your true self, that, we are so freaking powerful. We are amazing.
Unbelievably
that one
powerful.
person can change the world with the right, leadership.
If you look at just a simple thing like Safe Technology, an African guy who was 18, he's developed this machine that's a free energy device. He's now realized that it's a free energy device. And everybody said to me for ages, "Pete, there's no such thing as free energy." And I said, "Well, okay, what are you?" And they go, "What do you mean?" I said, "Do you produce energy? I can put a meter on you and I can get probably 24 hertz of power out. You are producing energy." Now you times that by, say, 4 billion people, because I don't believe there's 7 billion, but 4 billion people on the planet, right? Every single one of those people are producing energy. Does a tree produce energy? Does a wave hitting the ocean or the shoreline produce energy? Does the wind produce energy? Every single thing on this planet's energetic. So if everything's energetic, then that's a source of energy. It's the ether, as Nikola Tesla said, and Schoberger. Everybody has the right for free energy. And once we go to free energy, Zach, it's game over for the system. There is nothing to hold us back. The only thing we've got that's holding us back is the reliance on energy from a system. If we have free energy, it's over.
This is what I've been researching just the other day. Jared Pollock, he talks about EZ water and how our body takes in sunlight and creates a negative charge, and we create energy. And that's how these airtarians, people that are living without food and things like that.
You can't. Yeah, I've done research on it. You can't live in this system, this polluted system, on air. Yeah.
No, not in the cities for sure. You'd have to be somewhere pretty clean, but our body generates its own energy from the sun, from the earth, from the water, from our own breath. But obviously eating a healthy diet. So I think really what I've been saying to people during this lockdown is that the biggest pandemic is this pandemic of leadership. We have shitty leaders leading this charge, and everyone's believing everyone. And we have this leadership ability inside of us that we're just not utilizing. And so this is the big wake up call: leadership.
Yep, and it's self-leadership. It's beyond just leadership; it's self-leadership. You lead yourself to a better you, because that's all the choices you take to break predictability. I see people coming into the Bone Broth Challenge, or they'll come in and start eating organic food, and in 2 weeks, they're a different person. A different person. And that is what you are told just from getting a bit of support. you can be anything you want. And guess what? Just because you've been a boilermaker or a carpenter for 30 years doesn't mean you can completely change your job. It's completely changeable, your life. You're an evolutionary species. There's no reason to believe that predictability and boredom is your role in life. Boredom is what's killing people. That's the biggest thing ever. It's a disease that destroys humans, boredom. And it's disgusting that they actually made us believe that boredom's normal. Every single minute of your day should be exciting, Zach. Every single bit. There shouldn't be a single bit of your day that's boring. Not one. You go out in the bush, you watch animals. You watch animals on any part of Africa, on those giant plains. Do you think they're bored? Ever? You think a dragonfly's ever bored? What other species suffers from boredom? Name one.
None.
None. What culture suffers from boredom? None. What fish? Have you ever seen a fish suffer from boredom? It's too busy looking around trying to find food.
Yeah, we're just not excited enough.
To actually zoom down into forgotten that life is an experiment. Life is an imagination of our expansion of the moment. You sit there and you go, okay, what is it? I'm going to expand this moment to be never bored. A child gets out of the womb. Oh, I've just been bored. I've just come down the fallopian tubes, broken my mum's hips. I've slid out of the vagina and I've been drinking fluid from a umbilical cord, or all my nutrients coming from umbilical cord in a sack of my own urine for 9 months. And I've just had the water break and I'm just come out of a human being. Oh, that was boring. Human birth is possibly the most amazing thing ever. I wrote a song called Star is Born. It's on the line. Everybody's freaking out about it. It's about a baby being born. I call them stars in the song. People freak out. I've had women crying over the song because nobody's made a song about being born. You are born from a cell that develops in the fallopian tube by sticking to the side of the fallopian tube, slowly growing, separating, developing in the uterus, growing into a baby from a sperm from another person, an electronic connection between a male and a female. You develop in your embryonic sac, completely sterile with no access to anything else to be able to get in. It's like a beehive in there. You can't, it's completely sterile. Then you are born by your mother completely breaking, dislocating her hips and are coming out. And then her hips going back in. The water breaks. Then you are fed the placenta from the mother that comes out with you, and the placenta pumps through, which Erasmus Darwin, Charles Darwin's grandfather, said should never, ever be cut unless the placenta pumped through. If you have a true birth, you've got the placenta pumping through. And then you go onto the breast where the mother produces milk from her after producing you. Nobody covers birth at all like it's, oh, she's just having a baby, man. Nothing special. It's been done a couple of million times before. And guys worry about the woman. What's she going through? Because they know jack shit about what she's going through. If we're all educated on what happens to a woman when they get pregnant, when the baby's developing, and what happens at birth, and sees a baby getting born when they're growing up, do you think we'd have all this stuff with women? No way. We'd have no sexual abuse of women. Like the Maasai tribe, there's a lot of tribe, or not the Himba tribe, they actually dress as women for 3 weeks every year.
Everyone in the tribe?
Yeah, all the guys dress as women to appreciate women. This so-called uncivilized guys dress as women for 3 weeks to appreciate women.
Wow.
When have you seen guys dress as women for 3 weeks? Ever, to appreciate women in Western society, except when they're doing drag shows.
That would be That would be life-changing, actually. The world would,
100%.
hopefully that would get the news.
100%. Every guy, 3 weeks of the year, has to dress and go through what a woman goes through to understand. And they have to sit down at a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old and a 15-year-old and watch a birth from go to woe. When the baby comes out, when the embryonic sac breaks, the water bursts, you've got to watch it every 5 years or even more, every 2 years. Wow. So it becomes ingrained.
A reminder. Yeah.
That is what I came out of. That is what I've got to appreciate. That is what I am. That's who I came from. I can't beat them up. I can't be sexist with them. I can't treat them second rate. I don't worship them, but I fucking well appreciate where I came from. Nobody does that in the Western world. And that's why all these guys at the top think they've got the right to molest children, because they've never seen birth. You honestly think any of those guys at the top have ever seen a baby being born? Never. They'd run for the hills, or they'd shuffle for the hills, I should say, because they can't run.
They'd outsource it. Yeah, that's not...
Outsource the emotion.
That is like, seriously, the biggest mind... That's the best philosophy concept. You know, if there was like a national day every year that you could just be like, okay, this is education day 101 on life.
A month. Every year you've got to appreciate where you come from.
Yeah. Wow.
Every single culture of the world, every woman of the world.
All these other shitty festivals throughout the year that are just distractions again.
You know why I don't go to festivals, Zach? That's why. They're fake. There's no meaning to them. They're just having a festival, so ching ching. These festivals. Look at that thing in America, Burning Man.
Yep.
You don't even know who runs it anymore. Who runs it? It's a corporation. I'm going to an event which is run by a corporation of unseen businessmen. And I've got to do what I'm told for 2 weeks, but I'm free. That's another program. People onto that thinking they're going to do, it's basically Mad Max on steroids, right?
Yeah.
It's just Mad Max movie set. That's all I've done is build a Mad Max set. So what happens? They go there and think they're spiritual. Come back. They've done drugs and drunk alcohol. You can buy alcohol there.
Wow.
So the whole principle of it is that spirituality is understanding every single aspect of where you came from. You know, how many people have seen a picture of the fallopian tube with an egg attached to it? That's you. That's me. We all came from that. But when are we shown that at school? How many breathing classes have we done at schools at? Ever?
None.
It's amazing how simple this is, but predictability is how you break it. You step out of that, start talking about, hey mate, have you ever thought about where we come from? Have a good talk to your mates. Have a good talk to your friends. Start doing the deep conversations, not these shallow, pathetic things about, I've just done yoga today. I've just done a weight training session. Fucking boring. You've done that every day of your life. Where did you fucking come from?
This is great. This is such a good reminder, everyone. And that's kind of, this headphone. And this is just where we're at. So we've got to be reminded, you know. And I was looking at the book today on the wall, some of the biggest questions ever asked or something. I was like, I got to pick that book up because I got to start asking better questions and start, you know, really figuring
yourself.
Out who I am, where I'm from, all these things, you know. And Pete, I'd love to know just a couple of other few more questions. We'll wrap this up. This has been super, and we'd love to have you back, probably, of course.
No worries.
Give us, like, if you say you had $1,000 right now and you had to spend it on health and wellness, rejuvenation, heal thyself, filling up your own well, what would you do with that $1,000?
I'd get a water filter, $290 water filter. First off, get rid of the crap water out of your life. I'd start looking at getting clay into your life on a regular basis, which is clay. A lot of people don't understand that all the rivers in the wild are muddy. There's the Ganges, the Amazon, the Nile. They're not clean water. Our water's been cleaned to the max, and then they put chemicals in it. So for me, clay is a very essential thing to have part of your weekly routine until you get used to it. It's because it's a negatively charged ion, clay. It helps soothe your gut. I'd also look at movement outside, I would, you probably wouldn't even have to spend $1,000. It's basically most of this stuff's free, with a few, probably $200 you'd spend. But if you had 1,000, you could probably get a small sauna, a far infrared sauna. You can get the personal far infrared saunas. I'd also look at maybe getting a freezer and doing cold baths. They're $200 or $300, and doing cold baths regularly. Get yourself a shower filter. Stop showering hot, or just start off cool, and or warm, and start going to cool to cold showers. And because the steam from the showers activated chemicals. When you heat water, it's inert. When it's cold, it's inert. But once you heat water, all the chemicals and the poisons in the water become activated. So you're breathing basically a gas chamber when you have a shower with steam. So you've really got to make sure that you don't have anything that's going into that shower that you don't want to breathe in, which is, you can do a TDS measurement on the water, which is foot ionizer. I'd get a foot ionizer, which I think I might have told you about. You can get it for $70
What's
now.
a foot ionizer?
They ionize your feet to start drawing the poisons from your feet, because your feet's your lowest point of your body. And a lot of foot poisons, or accumulation of poisons, are in your feet. So they're called foot ionizers or foot baths. And you'll see after about, some people are pretty toxic, and the water will go really putrid, because it'll pull all the poisons out of your feet. And shoes I call foot coffins, where your feet go to die. They haven't got any movement. It's like putting a mitten on your hand. You can't move your fingers. You can't do that. That's why we wear gloves, because you can't use your whole hands. So to me, I go to Soft Star, and I buy shoes that let your foot go like that. Let your foot spread. Soft Star, handmade shoes in America, have leather, real made shoes, about $160. They last forever, really long time, because they're handmade. You'll get an email from the elves saying your shoes are ready. That's why all these elves send you letters. But it's quite funny, but it's amazing.
That's cool. Footwear
called Soft Star. I don't get any money for this. I just promote them all the time because they're a great company. All handmade shoes. Soft Star in America. That's a big one. Footwear. Clothes. I never wear tight clothes. I would get natural clothes or plastics. Plastic clothes cause fungal infections, and women, those pants that are super tight and lift your glutes, you're going to get vaginal infections and anal infections, because you're not letting your skin breathe. They lift your glutes and separate your glutes. They're chafing the inside of your anus, and they're going to cause major anal and vaginal infections. You're going to get thrush. You're going to get all sorts of problems with these tight plastic pants. Disaster for your health. And it cuts the circulation as well when you exercise. So loose clothing only when you're exercising. I'd get a whole bunch of new exercise clothes. Never wear plastic clothes at all when you're exercising. Only free-flowing, loose clothes, or no clothes at all. I prefer to exercise with no clothes on, because it's so much easier. My body can move and it has no constriction. Any tight clothing when you're moving, especially plastic ones, restrict blood flow and cause injury, especially with shoes on. So you've got to make sure your feet are free. So in conjunction, I'd say water filter, shower filter, get onto natural herbal teas, start drinking herbal teas, get off coffee, loose clothing, great shoes. Yeah, ionizer for your feet, and really good quality shoes which spread. Don't squash your feet, it spread your foot. Body washes, no chemicals on your skin at all. Borax to wash your skin with, or apple cider vinegar and bicarb. That's what I do. We've got it at the shop. All natural, only edible things you use on your body or wash your hair with. Teeth cleaning, only use things you can swallow. All toothpaste, most of it says do not swallow. I wouldn't use anything in my mouth that I couldn't swallow, because it's poison. You're not supposed to swallow it. So it's very simple things, just like you did when you're a baby. Treat your body biologically, you're no different from a baby. Exactly the same process. So you don't give babies alcohol, you don't give babies coffee, you don't give them sugar, you don't put poisons or chemicals on babies. You're biologically no different. What happens is you develop scar tissue on your skin after using all these chemicals on your skin, and your senses become dulled. When you start using magnesium body spray or minerals on your body, or borax to wash your apple cider vinegar and bicarb, you start to wake up your skin, and you're really sensitive to chemicals, and all the skin problems start to go away. And bed sheets. I've just got onto this recently. I've been using latex mattresses because a lot of bugs and stuff breed in your mattress. They're really prevalent, horrific, the amount of mites and junk, the bacteria that breed in your mattress. Get a latex mattress and silver infused sheets. They're not that more expensive than sheets. They have silver infused weave, and the bacteria and the parasites cannot breed in the silver infused sheets. And they feel like silk. They're really good. And they're not much more expensive than, say, bamboo or hemp sheets. So silver infused sheets, weaved, not blocked. All cotton, hemp sheets are blocked, and it provides access for bacteria breeding. And after 2 days, the bacteria and the mites are breeding in your sheets. So that's where you get a lot of acne on your back, a lot of skin problems on your body, and groin and rashes and fungal problems from the sheets and how you sleep, especially hot, humid environments. That's where they breed in overnight. 8 hours gives you a lot of entry for an organism to get into your body.
Wow. Seriously, I hope everyone is taking notes. This has probably been...
You get a lot of this stuff at the shop.
Yeah, you got to go check it out. If you're in Sydney, anywhere in New South Wales, make the trip. If you're on the other side of the planet,
and you can send we can send
come
it.
and visit.
We send it as well. Pete'sOrganicMarket.com.
And seriously, guys, and seriously, Pete, this has been so valuable, life-changing information, philosophies, insights. We've got to get you back. Everyone, please connect with Pete. Pete'sOrganicMarket.com. Go there
and
in Sydney,
Pete's Organic
order
Market,
stuff online.
Pete's Organic Market Instagram, and I think it's Pete Melov Facebook, or Pete's Organic Market Facebook as well.
We'll link it around the video somewhere.
Yeah.
And gosh, so many more questions, but we'll cap it at that. What's the final little comment for everyone at home right now?
Make sure you heal thy. Right? You are the most ultimate person you can ever be, and start thinking that you're not limited. There's no limits. Great saying, there's no limits. That's a slogan that everybody should believe, because as you come out of that womb, there's no limits. Think of where you came from and think of where you're going. You came out of a womb. There's no limits. And just say no. Remember that. If you don't like it, you don't like it. You don't want to do it, and it doesn't sound right, just say no. We've all got to start saying no a lot more. Thanks, Zach.
This has been amazing. Thank you so much for your time, Pete. And everyone at home, please share this out. People need to hear this. Tthank you, Pete. Love your work.
See you, Zach.